We're calling to order the April 14th Licensing Board meeting of the City of Salem. This is the first in-person meeting that the board has had in over 5 years. It's nice to see. It's nice to see you all. We have a few short cleaning up issues for the board before we get to the second item on our agenda tonight.
So the first item on the agenda is a vote of the board to continue 3 applications until the April 28th, 2025 meeting. The first one is an application for a lodging house license at 10 Howard Street. If I could have a motion for that.
So moved.
Do I have a
Gary,
second?
can you hear us?
I need a second.
Oops, she's gonna.
Can you hear us, Gary?
You can't hear him.
I will get him on my phone about that, so we'll have him in person there.
Okay.
and I'll-
Beth is going to call you on the phone. We can't hear you. But I need a second if you can raise your hands.
She's got
Thank you, Gary.
Call the roll.
On a roll call vote, Mr. Barrett
Yes?
and Ms. Grier
Yes.
and Mr. Santo.
Yes.
The next item is the same, to continue until the April 28th meeting, an application for a one-day liquor license at Root on May 1st, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Santo?
Yes.
Unless you
Barrett.
tell him-
Yes.
Ms. Grier?
Yes. Will you tell him to answer his phone?
Gary, can you answer your phone?
Third item.
And the next item is an application for a change of category from an annual wine and malt to an annual all alcohol license for Flying Saucer Pizza Company.
So moved.
Mr. Santo?
Second?
Roll call vote. Ms. Grier?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Mr. Santo?
This is it.
I
know.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
All right. The next item on the agenda is an application for a seasonal all alcohol liquor license and entertainment license at 197 Fort Ave. The applicant is Willow Walk LLC, DBA Axes and Bows.
Representative for the applicant.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Gazda, and I'm an attorney representing Willow Walk LLC. With me as well tonight is Gideon Koltoff, who is one of the co-owners and proposed manager of record of the establishment we're here to talk about tonight. Before the board is an application for the issuance of a new seasonal all-alcohol license for the property located at 197 Fort Avenue for a new restaurant doing business as Axes and Bows. This will be a new full-service restaurant and entertainment establishment providing family-friendly food and entertainment within the strip of commercial establishments along Fort Avenue known as The Line. The licensee plans to offer a variety of different food and beverage options together with entertainment offerings which are complementary to the amusement attractions in the area. To that end, in addition to the seasonal alcohol license, we have also applied for an entertainment license and an amusement device license inclusive of up to 15 arcade games, as well as non-live entertainment offerings such as background music, TVs, a jukebox, axe throwing lanes, as well as tabletop games. There is also proposed live music on Saturdays only between 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. In terms of the space itself, it's comprised of approximately 3,800 square feet on the ground floor, and we anticipate an occupancy of approximately 179 persons, though as before tonight, we do not have that date set or that occupancy set in stone, given the build-out is not yet complete. But that's the target number we're looking at. The closing hour is anticipated to be 12 a.m., affiliated with the liquor license itself, though realistically, we anticipate the establishment closing much earlier most nights, perhaps most likely 10 p.m. The 12 p.m. closing hour for the license itself has been sought to basically grant additional flexibility for the establishment in the event of holidays, busier nights, or for special events within the space. But again, likely closing at 10 p.m. most nights. Gideon Koltoff, as I mentioned, is the co-owner and proposed manager of record and he does have an extensive experience here in Salem itself, having owned and operated Bit Bar, which operates under a somewhat similar concept since approximately 2016. So he has a proven track record as a responsible operator and having a vested interest here in Salem. I would also note that all bartenders at this establishment, should we be granted a license, will be tip certified as well. In terms of community outreach, before we came to the meeting tonight, we have had extensive discussions with both the mayor's office as well as members of the community at large. We have had signatures on a petition of support in over 800 signatures, I believe, as of tonight, as well as letters of support from each and every one of the direct commercial abutters to the premise itself. Lastly, I would note with respect to public need for a new license, given the city has invested significant capital into this area within the past few years, including the pier itself, we feel that this license would be something else to further activate the area in a manner that would be both conducive to the work that has been put in by the city itself, as well as the establishment's vitality along the line itself. Additionally, there is a neighborhood of several hundred homes behind the establishment, and presently this area is a vacuum insofar as there are no liquor licenses in the area. So the absence of a liquor license, together with the presence of a multitude of residential homes, in and of itself, we believe, bolsters the argument for a public need for this license as well, especially given the letters of support that have been given. And given the comments, I would note.
Let's be respectful through the whole process, please.
Right. He has every right to speak as you do.
I'm sure we'll have comments in response to some of the opposition, but I would just note before we go to public comment that with respect to the Ballerin standard, that is what's applied by the licensing board for the issuance of new licenses and determining what is a public need. The opposition of members in the community is certainly one standard that can be applied, but that is not by itself the only factor to be considered. So with that, I would just ask if Gideon has anything to add, or if we will just respond after public comment.
Just one, well, first off, Gideon Koltoff, board, nice to see you, thank you very much. Just one quick correction in terms of the live music. The idea would be to have from say noon to 8 p.m. Every day we're open, not just on Saturdays. So I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication, so I apologize.
Okay, no worries.
But that would be the only thing. I believe the entertainment license is already written up as such. So I just want to make that publicly known.
What type of live music would you have?
It would be low volume acoustic. The idea, the vibe that we're trying to go for here is really kind of an escape from the noise of the arcade. Like, it's not going to be a loud place. It's supposed to be low amplified, think more Billy Joel and less, reggae. It's really supposed to be a very kind of chill, not even reggae, like pump reggae. It's really supposed to be kind of a chill place you can kind of go. Live entertainment, like 2-3 piece bands, maybe, mostly singer-songwriter kind of stuff. It's really just supposed to be a very kind of chill, laid-back atmosphere, and that's really what we're looking for over here. It's not going to be rowdy, it's not going to be loud parties. We have no karaoke and entertainment license, and not looking to do karaoke over there, nothing like that at all.
And occupancy, again, you would mention what was the occupancy?
We anticipate it to be approximately 179.
100?
And 79 presently, that's what we anticipate.
Question?
Let me see. So anyway, Gideon, you mentioned not just on Saturdays.
Mhm.
You mentioned other days, like every day or weekends.
Well, presumably, I mean, what we're looking to do here is to try to create a bit of an escape from whatever kind of noisy arcade games which would be over at the arcade. That's the main attraction of the Willows right now. That's not just the park. And so that's what we're trying to do, is just kind of blend into that and just kind of make it something that's an escape. You can kind of go, if you want to send your kids to go play in a loud arcade, by all means. But the idea is here is a place you can go to escape all that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Are we able to ask questions later?
Yeah.
Again?
Yeah.
If we have questions.
Gary, do you have any questions?
Okay. So, I don't know what happened to him again.
Is it not at the moment? I'm sorry.
You said no.
No, okay, sorry.
I read his lips.
Be sure to speak up.
Okay, great, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we could ask questions later, that would be really helpful.
Absolutely.
We're going to absorb some of this information, so. Oh, one other question, 10 p.m. every day?
The idea, I mean, we'll kind of have to see what the schedule's going to be. I mean, I can tell you at Bit Bar, like our license allows us to stay open until 1 o'clock pretty much every day. We never use the full allocation of our hours because there's no demand for it. I would anticipate that would be.
Bitbar is located in a different place, right?
Sure, exactly. In fact, I would expect that the demand would be lower here significantly. So I expect, like, honestly, latest I expect we'd ever be open is 10 p.m. And on some other days, we might close at 8, you know? Like, I don't see, we probably would not be open on Monday and Tuesday anyway. We would probably definitely be open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Definitely as a Bit Bar, we're only open 6 days a week, not 7. So I would expect that. And that's really driven by public demand.
Is that year-round?
Year-round.
Oh, so you're looking at year-round. So everything else is closed, but you guys would...
No. This is a seasonal liquor license. So what I'm saying is,
that's right.
during the week, during
Yeah.
season, I would expect we'd be open 6 days a week, perhaps 5 days a week, but most likely 6 days a week.
Right, okay. All right, so that's all I have for right now.
That's
But I
fine.
may have more questions after. Actually, entertainment, beside that, I noticed that you are thinking about axe throwing.
Mhm.
Actually, you have axe in your, the name of your business.
Correct.
Is that axe because of, you decided to name it Axes and Bows because of that?
Well, it was kind of looking for some sort of entertainment option that would work well in this area. I don't want to compete with the arcade. I don't want to compete with Bit Bar, which are actually kind of similar in that respect.
Mhm.
So I was looking for something that could be complementary in that way. I looked at all sorts of things. I looked at, golf simulators, but I don't think that's really what the Willows needs. I looked at all a bunch of different things, and I was kind of thinking axe throwing is something that potentially could work over there. It's something which has been around for probably about 15 years or so.
Sure.
And it's something that I wouldn't want to open a place year-round as an axe throwing locale. For something like this, I think would work out really well.
What's the bow part?
So the idea is that this is kind of, I don't know if anyone's been axe throwing, but there's the more modern way of axe throwing is they have a projector with a computer which projects all sorts of different games onto it. And you can play tic-tac-toe, you can play, just a regular bullseye, and you can use different things to hurl the target. One of the things, of course, is axes. You can also use a bow and arrow, you can use an arrow, and something else, was very compelling for me to actually do this, you can use Nerf darts. And so this allows us to have children actually using this facility as opposed to just being exclusively for adults. I don't want just to simply just be an adults exclusive zone. I want this to be someplace where you can have a kids party, where children who are going to be in the Willows anyway can come and actually utilize my facilities, and that would benefit me.
I assume there'd be a little separation between the.
Every lane is separated, yeah.
Right. Yeah, wow. I've not been to a place that does axe throwing, so I can't speak to how that works. I understand it could be safe, but it is it does, I think about the pros of it sometimes, maybe because I'm not very, well, I play pickleball, so I do have a strong right arm, but,
I got to tell you, I was very concerned about that myself. But when I did research into it, one of the first things I did is I spoke to my insurance broker. He was a specialized insurance broker who does axe throwing locations. And he told me that he's been doing this since 2016. And he has over 1,000 axe throwing locations nationwide. And he has not had a single in that time, not a single, absolutely zero claims put against him as a result of any issues with axe throwing per se. So I totally get why it sounds dangerous, but when done correctly and responsibly under good supervision, it's perfectly safe.
Thank you.
Melissa.
Do we know who this is?
Does Gary have a question?
No, somebody keeps trying to get into the Zoom. This never happens. Of course, it's going to happen tonight.
Oh, I see. So it's not just Gary trying to get on, it's someone else.
No, it's,
Okay. I don't have any questions presently,
Yeah.
but I might.
All right. Thank you for the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room like to speak on the matter? Please step up.
Good evening. My name's Tom Delaney. I'm an attorney. I've been practicing law in the city of Salem for the past 35 years. And this evening, I'm pleased to be here representing the Salem Willows Neighborhood Association. I also appreciate the chairman recognizing me to speak to the board at this time, and I will try to be brief. Maria Buckley and Phil Lafayette to my left They are the co-chairs of the association. There are also many members of the Salem Willows Neighborhood Association present this evening, so that the board has an appreciation for the volume of members. I would simply ask the members at this time to raise their hands. Thank you. The goal of the Salem Willows Neighborhood Association this evening is to present its opposition to the applicant's license in a succinct, factual, and reasonable manner. We seek to avoid and will do our level best to avoid duplication. Toward that end, the members of the association have agreed to allow Maria Buckley to present their opposition. The members reserve the right to be recognized in the event that they need to respond to anything that comes up as the meeting goes on. Please allow me to share some brief remarks. The law that concerns the issue of a liquor license is well settled and well known to you. First, it should be noted that a liquor license is not a right, it is a privilege. And this board is empowered to decide whether to grant this privilege to a particular applicant. Fortunately, the board is not without guidance. The law provides instructions to the board as to whether to allow or not allow the license. There are relevant statutes, and there are many decisions that concern those statutes, one of them represented by my brother who spoke earlier to you. The statutes, Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 12 and 38, initially address the fundamental purpose of issuing a license. And the law confirms that the reason to issue a license is to satisfy a public need. The need that the law refers to is a need to have a sufficient number of drinking establishments within the city of Salem to satisfy the residents' desire to enjoy a drink on occasion. The public need is already well satisfied in the city of Salem. There are already 86 establishments within the city that serve alcohol. A critical question the board must consider this evening is whether the city truly needs an 87th establishment to serve alcohol. The decisions that judges have interpreted the law that govern liquor licenses should be considered by the board. These opinions instruct the board to consider several factors. The factors include, 1, what are the views of the residents in the area who will be most affected by the issuance of the license? 2, will granting the license cause issues with noise? 3, will granting the license cause issues with traffic? 4, is the size of the operation appropriate for its intended location? And 5, what is the reputation of the applicant? I appreciate the board's willingness to listen to Maria Buckley, who will share with you that the residents of the Salem Willows vehemently oppose this application for the very reasons that are set forth in the laws that I expressed to you. Granting this license will increase traffic, it will increase noise, it will create parking problems, and moreover, the use is entirely inconsistent with the overall character of the Salem Willows. I thank you for your permission, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to do 2 things as I finish. First, Phil Laffey is going to present the board, with your permission, a petition signed by 2,210 residents in opposition to this application. And second, I would ask the board to recognize Maria Buckley if the board is so inclined.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maria Buckley and I live at 18 Beach Avenue. I am co-chair of the Willows Neighborhood Association and we strongly oppose this application for an all-alcohol liquor license running from April 1st through January 15th for the hours of 1 p.m. to midnight, 7 days a week, for the proposed Axes and Bows Bar. Let me just say, we can only go by the information that is in the application. This is a serious precedent-setting matter that's being taken up tonight. I, in particular, am heartened by the board's focused conduct of this meeting and the passion in this room. This is how participatory democracy works best. The matter before you is not whether Axes and Bows will be an exciting new venue. The question is whether there should be a liquor license granted for this venue, and there are rules for determining that. As Mr. Delaney just told us, a liquor license is not a right, it's a privilege. An applicant does not simply fill out the paperwork and receive a rubber stamp. There are laws and rules and precedent that must be applied to the board's deliberative process. The licensing board must determine the need for the license, as well as the suitability of the applicant and the appropriateness of a liquor license at a particular location. This application fails both the need and the appropriateness of the geographic location tests. The board will take into account a wide range of factors, such as traffic, noise, size, the sort of operation that carries the license, the geographic location, and the reputation of the applicant. In the words of the state law, a license should be granted with a view only to serve the public need and in a manner to protect the common good. There is no public need for the requested liquor license. Salem has many, many bars, restaurants, and other establishments that serve alcohol. 86 of them right now, with more in queue. Most of these establishments operate during the applicant's requested hours. Most of them allow children, and several have play areas where kids can run around while their parents drink. None of them abuts any location remotely comparable to the Willows Park. To disregard the character of the Willows' geographic location would be precedent-setting. The lack of alcohol sales at the Willows is long-standing and intentional. The Willows is a distinct geographic location as described on the National Register of Historic Places. It encompasses the park, several beaches, the Ford Ave businesses, also known as the Line, as well as residential homes. The Willows has always been used for recreation and family-friendly activities. The city's own large historical marker in the park refers to a ban on the sale of alcohol as a deliberate contributing factor to keeping out the rough element that created problems at other seaside resorts. Now, if that quote sounds quaint to you, or if you think we're being overly sentimental, let's look at something more current that had broad participatory constituency. The city's Open Space and Recreation Plan 2023 to 2030, posted on the city's website, reiterates and reinforces the importance of maintaining the space and people's lived experiences with this space. The plan speaks to the need for residents to have a much-needed escape from the hustle and bustle of urban life and includes the park as an area of environmental justice for the many, many residents who live in apartments and have no regular access to safe outdoor space for relaxation and recreation. Users of the park play basketball, tennis, soccer, and pickleball. People come to picnic, bike, rollerblade, walk, swim, paddleboard, and kayak. Every day, people are in the park using it for recreation and respite. The users and stakeholders are diverse in every respect. The park, the beaches, the arcades, the small amusements, the food sellers are open to people of all backgrounds, all ages, all genders, all abilities, and all economic circumstances. It is the most diverse space in the city, if not the entire North Shore. The park is highly activated. It is free, and for many, it is the only open space they have. There are day camps, art classes, weekly band concerts, groups from the local Ys, school field trips, senior centers, organizations serving people of limited abilities. Every day, they sit on benches that would be just a few feet away from this proposed bar. You can see it on our easel over there. A bar is inconsistent with this environment. Indeed, anyone who tells you that they love the park or they have fond memories of the park has only had the experience of an alcohol-free environment. A bar will also bring noise, parking, traffic, and public safety problems. This is inevitable and defies common sense to say otherwise. Even the best-run bars have these issues, including the bars run by the applicant and the owner. Bit Bar has had noise complaints. The owners of the building, who have stated on the application that they will reap 10% of the gross sales of alcohol, own many bars throughout the state and have a long history of serious violations, including significant misrepresentations on their own similar application filed with this board last year. This is not a neighborhood speculation about a parade of horribles. These are facts. The Willows has 2 entrance corridors, Ford Ave and Memorial Drive. There is 1 driving lane in each direction. Memorial Drive is particularly winding. Ford Ave has well-used bike and pedestrian lanes that abut the narrow driving lane. Both roads are used all day, every day, by walkers, runners, bikers, scooters, and people pushing baby strollers. To put additional impaired drivers on these roads is a disaster in waiting. We already have well-documented speeding issues on these roads. The city's traffic studies in 2023 and 2024 documented speeds well over 60 miles an hour by the basketball courts. We have had 2 fatalities as well as catastrophic accidents. A bar will be placing additional impaired drivers and pedestrians in the park all day, every day. There is no question that public safety will suffer. The applicant is not adding additional patron parking to support a venue with a capacity of 179 persons. The large majority of the bar's patrons and staff will be driving to this venue and need to park. Parking is already very tight, with regular spillover into the neighborhood. People park illegally, shutting out the residents, and the police are called. Moreover, the city plans to move Pioneer Village to the Camp Nomkeg site, which also abuts the park. This will further strain available parking. Sound carries, especially at night. The businesses on the line are weather seasonal and all quiet down by 8 or 9 p.m. at the latest. There are numerous one-day events that abide by the Park and Recreation Commission rules. All of these events are family-oriented, including road races and the Salem Jazz and Soul Festival that apply for one-day liquor licenses. These events are well-vetted, controlled, require police detail, and must end no later than 7 p.m. when alcohol is involved. Even with these rules, there are limited enforcement resources for the associated noise, parking, speeding, and trash. On occasion, these events persist beyond the agreed-upon end times, and the neighborhood is burdened by noise so loud and pervasive that we cannot sit on our porches, put our kids to bed, or otherwise enjoy our homes in the evening. The applicant is proposing to add noise every day until at least midnight. The proposed Axes and Bows bar is between 68 and 86 feet from people's bedrooms on Island Avenue. I want to give you a second to take it in. You can see it on our easel. These are family homes where people want their quiet enjoyment, the ability to enjoy the evening, and the ability to rest and go to sleep, sometimes with the windows open. This is not the same as living in a condo in the downtown, or in the words of the city, it is away from the hustle and bustle of urban living. If this application succeeds, it is foreseeable that bar patrons will step outside on Island Ave and also Fort Ave, right next to the Kittyland amusements, to smoke, vape, talk, and maybe worse. All of these things happen outside of bars. Of course, the residents of Island Ave, although the closest, will not be the only residents burdened by this noise. And this assumes the applicant will not try to create an outdoor patio, which would make the noise intrusion even worse. Again, noise carries, especially at night. The residents on Sutton Ave, Beach Ave, Columbus Ave, and further will hear the noise, and they will call the police on every occasion, and the police will be burdened. The park closes at sunset. If the tennis and basketball courts are lighted, it closes at 10 p.m. between October 1st and Memorial Day. From Memorial Day to October 1st, the park closes at 11:30 p.m. The bar will close at midnight. If approved, there could be 179 people getting into cars, roaming the closed park, making significant noise every night at midnight and later. On March 3rd of this year, after a night of drinking in downtown Salem, an intoxicated individual wandered out onto the new pier and fell into the water at 2 a.m. These things happen. Some have tried to frame our opposition as being anti-business or fearing a business's success. This is a completely untrue distraction. We have always supported the businesses on Ford Ave. We are the best customers of Hobbs, Super Taco, the arcades, Pepe's, Cappy's, Holy Cow, Sages, as well as the Clam Shack in the park. These businesses are part of what makes the Willows a special place. What is not speculative is that food and arcade businesses have thrived on the line for decades without a liquor license. And there are many more concepts for successful food businesses and entertainment that do not require a liquor license and would be completely consistent with the character of the location. Indeed, the current applicant and the property owner told us that they could have a profitable arcade-type business that is consistent with our environment, but they need to make even higher profit from the high margin on alcohol sales. We encourage them to consider mocktails. The applicant told us that all alcohol sales are risky. Of course they are. We agree with that. That is why we have a licensing board. Breaking precedent and putting a bar abutting a well-used park, beaches, and playgrounds with two narrow winding corridors is the opposite of balancing the risk of alcohol versus the public good. At a December 10th meeting, the applicant told us that his concept is for kids to play games while their parents tie one on. In making its determination, the licensing board must consider the character of the location as it exists today. If the Willows is not a location inconsistent with alcohol sales, then there is likely no place in Salem where a bar would be prohibited. If the board grants this license, it would be legally bound to treat all other applicants the same, and there would be nowhere in Salem where sales are prohibited. If the city, the residents, and other stakeholders want to change the family-friendly character of the Willows, the way to do that is in an open, democratic, transparent process that accounts for all stakeholders and users, as well as the attendant consequences, impacts, and stresses on public safety and quality of life. We have a redevelopment authority, a zoning board, a planning board, a historic commission, a recreation commission, a DPW, a police department, and a fire department to deal with such changes. That is not the proposal before you. The proposal before you is for the applicant and owner to fulfill their business plan and monetary goals to make money from serving alcohol. We and the 2,300 signatories of our petition oppose this liquor license because it is the right thing to do in the best interests of the Willows Park and the broader community of park users. The license is not needed. The application for an all-alcohol license operating from April 1st through January 15th, serving alcohol from 1 p.m. to midnight, 7 days a week, as well as hosting private events, is incompatible with the character of the park, inconsistent with the uses of the park, impermissibly interferes with the residents' legal right to quiet enjoyment in their homes, and will worsen an already dangerous traffic situation, will further tax an overburdened parking situation, and will also burden the police. A bar at the Willows would be devastating. The consequences and issues resulting from the precedent-setting introduction of alcohol would likely deprive future generations of their own fond memories of this beloved park. There are ample grounds for the board to determine that granting this application is unnecessary, does not serve the public good, and would create a dangerous precedent. We urge you to deny it. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think you covered things very well.
I would like to
Chairman, may
mention,
I?
I would like to mention something though. So first of all, You're talking about the alcohol, I get that, you know, you're talking about noise. If you go down to the Willows, there are people with red cups. It's known as the red cup capital of Salem. We know they're already drinking in the park. We already know that there's noise in the park because families bring their kids and they bring their music. You're talking about a person who drove and then fell off a pier. They didn't fall off a pier because of the Willows. They fell off a pier because they drove there from somewhere else. Everyone in this audience, you don't go out to dinner, you don't have a couple of drinks to drive home. And how many of the people in this right here are actual residents? Is every single one a resident that has signed this petition? That's great.
Okay,
All
so
of you.
what is the question?
So actually, it's just more of a comment.
Okay.
So I think that, you know, I'm very open-minded about all of this, but you're also throwing out things that I think are relatively unfair to talk about somebody falling off a pier who drank somewhere else. So you're trying to loop all this into this person's bar that's not even there yet. So as far as parking and things like that, so I'm just making a comment that there is already drinking down at the Willows. There's already.
There is drinking in every public space in
Right,
Salem. And if
right.
people have issues about the enforcement, they should
Yeah.
talk to the police as we do.
Right,
We have
I
ongoing
get that.
conversations about that.
Right.
But there is drinking in every public space in Salem, including the train station. We have talked about a nips ban. We've talked
Right.
a lot about this.
Right.
But I'm not sure how adding a liquor license jibes with that situation.
Because
I'm
it's
also,
already-
there are
you're acting like there's absolutely no drinking in that park at all.
No.
And you're absolutely.
That is not what
No,
we're
no, I
saying at all.
understand that. I'm just making a comment about the idea that, you know, that this is a situation that already is happening, okay? It already is happening. We already know that. I go down the Willows, I've seen it myself. I'm just trying to make a comment to you that you're making it sound like all the evil is gonna come from this one situation.
It's a precedent.
I understand, you know, people wanting to enjoy their parks, you know, and that park creates a lot of noise as well. You know, I love the pickleball courts down there, but all I'm just saying is right now, there's still things that go on that create the driving issues, that create the noise that's already happening there. I'm not suggesting that we should give a license to that. I am just suggesting to be clear that this stuff is already happening. I don't know if Officer Ball has any comments about, you know, is it going to be more burdensome for the police, or are those issues that we still have to explore? You know, so I just wanted to make that comment.
So the comment about burdening the police was well thought out because we have spoken to the police. When people enjoy the park and they enjoy their recreation, whether they're doing pickleball or they're having a baby shower, whatever, yeah, they make noise, absolutely. We all make noise. We go to the beach, we make noise. No one is suggesting that a highly activated park is silent every day. Of course, that's not true. But there are hours after which it closes down. And that is the point we're making. But I also think, and I feel really strongly about this, that if you're saying, or if anyone is saying, that there is already drinking at the park, there is already drinking in every public space in Salem. We are at the forefront of asking for enforcement against that. I don't see how adding an establishment that is going to have 179 capacity is going to help that situation. I mean, if your point is that somehow we're being hypocritical, I don't think so.
That is not my point.
Okay.
I'm just suggesting that, but, and 179 people are not gonna be there up until midnight. So I don't know if anybody goes out at night sometimes and, you know, by like 9 o'clock, you know, a lot of places are empty.
Right.
They have a right, I agree with you, Marie, they do have a right to stay open, and I understand your concern. But it just felt to me that in some ways you were just blaming the bar for some of the issues that are already happening down at the Willows.
No, I'm sorry if I gave that misimpression, but it certainly will be additive and not in a good way.
Right.
The
I
other
appreciate
thing that
that.
I want to point out to everybody is that the location that's being proposed is not in the park.
Correct.
It's in a business zone.
Mhm.
Part of the consideration that this board will consider is it a business that belongs there? It's a business zone. They can have a bar in that area if we find there's a need and consider all the other avenues that have been laid out in our decision-making. We're gonna listen to everybody, maybe, I don't know. We're gonna start tonight and listen to proponents and opponents. So, we'll continue. Your presentation was thorough, and I
Well done.
congratulate you and well done,
Well done.
and we'll continue with the hearing.
And I just want to say, we
That was well done.
appreciate that if it were not zoned appropriately, we wouldn't be here tonight. So we understand that, right? You gave us the if, and that's the big if. Thank you.
Mr. Barrett, stand.
Gary?
Yes, can folks hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think as additional presentations occur, and I think, Beth, this is sort of where you were coming out, and Deb as well, I would sort of caution against these overly sweeping declarative statements being made, because as someone who lives on the Salem Common, it's hard for me to hear that I no longer live in the most diverse space or the best space in the North Shore. The declarative statements that 86 liquor licenses is enough for the city of Salem per the residents of the Willows, and all of the other declarative statements, I think they hurt the argument. I think you can make your case without such sweeping, broad generalizations. And I think, Deb, this is where you were going a little bit too, this immediate correlation that one business will serve to destroy the fabric that is the Willows today. And I just find that as distracting. I think there's a way to make your points without those types of alienating statements, because it also suggests that something as simple as limiting the hours of operation is not even a conversation topic. Right? I mean, I think if there are opportunities to work together, that's what this board has worked tirelessly on with a number of other establishments in the city. And what we found is most of the operators will work with the locals to try to come up with something that is amenable to everyone. But when one group digs in and starts making all sorts of declarative, sweeping statements, it makes that conversation that much harder. So, I mean, obviously make your statements, but I would just try to caution against that. It just really slows the conversation down rather than helps.
You had something to say?
Yeah.
I just want to thank the board for the additional time granted to the neighborhood association. I understand the board has a limited period of time and that there may be a need to impose time limits for other people speaking.
You're taking the words right out of it.
I wanted to make sure everyone in the audience knows that Ms. Buckley had additional time because she was speaking on behalf of a
I
group of
would
people.
thank you, Attorney Delaney, and we're
And Marie, you presented a great case. So your thoughts, I'm sure, were very representative of everyone in this room, and
So
we heard you.
I would entertain, do you want to respond to any of the comments?
Respond to many things.
I would recommend we just respond after.
Okay. I would take comments from, before you're all going to have a chance to get up. We are going to limit discussion for 2 minutes. I assume there are going to be a number of people, and we're trying to keep this orderly and not have a repetitive thing. We have 2,300 signatures. We have other petitions and letters that we have received and have looked at some, but not all. When I am going to tell you all tonight that we probably won't reach a decision tonight, so we can go over everything that comes in, because that's important to us. So when somebody raises a hand and wants to speak, I want you to come to the podium and make your comments, but you're limited to 2 minutes. And we will keep that short and try to move this process along. I would invite first, I see Councilor Jerslow's here. Would you like to make a statement, Cindy? Counselor, excuse me.
Good evening, thank you. Cindy Gerslow, Ward 1 Counselor, resident of Salem. I'm here tonight representing many concerned constituents regarding the liquor license application for the proposed establishment at the Willows. While the business owner may argue that this project will help revitalize the area, many residents, including myself, believe it will ultimately do more harm than good. I've received numerous emails from neighbors who live near the Willows Park, business owners in the Willows Park, as well as from residents across the city who are opposed to this liquor license application, are deeply troubled by this proposal. Having lived most of my life in the Willows neighborhood, I know firsthand how much this community values the character of the Willows Park. Residents see themselves as stewards of this space, just as many other Salem residents feel about the Common and the historic districts. The people I've spoken with want the Willows to remain a peaceful, family-friendly environment that is centered on connecting with nature and the rich history of the park that everyone can enjoy. Currently, several seasonal businesses operate successfully in the park, none of which require a liquor license. Introducing alcohol service at a new venue, especially one with 179-person capacity, represents a significant shift in the character of this area. Granting this license will not yield a sit-down restaurant with a bar, but a bar with entertainment. As we've heard from the police department in previous licensing board meetings, Friday and Saturday nights are require all hands on deck downtown, particularly when large establishments like the Village Tavern or O'Neill's Bar close for the night. Adding a large venue with alcohol service far from public safety infrastructure and outside the core downtown area will only stretch our resources thinner. What happens when that crowd spills out into the neighborhood late at night? Residents already report issues like speeding on Fort Ave, noise disturbance in the park, large groups congregating after hours. Police response times are already delayed in this part of the city. Adding more pressure will only make that worse. Parking is another major concern. Just last year, after working with the Transportation Commissioner, we transitioned to a seasonal residential parking permit in the Willows neighborhood under the understanding that local businesses are closed by the end of October. A year-round establishment will completely change that balance. How will parking be handled during a snow emergency when many residents rely on the Willows parking lot for their vehicles? The city has invested millions into improving the Willows Park. The residents are open to welcoming new businesses, just not one that brings alcohol service and the potential for year-round disruption. Residents who don't live nearby may advocate for more amenities, but that doesn't mean alcohol is the answer. This is truly about creating a family-friendly destination. Then why is a liquor license necessary? For all these reasons, I urge the board to consider the long-term impact of this decision on the character of the Willows Park, public safety, and the quality of life for the neighborhood and all the residents who use the park. Thank you.
It's a seasonal
It's a
license.
seasonal license. You were mentioning
But it goes
year-round.
Well,
April to-
seasonal license actually go
April
from
to
April to
June.
January, so you're talking February, March that the residents
Right.
get a break. I mean, not, it's
Yeah.
almost like a year.
Yes. No, we know.
Oh, they
Seasonal
can still
license.
be operating, but without a liquor license.
They should move it in the back. I
Um,
had hand up for a while.
Sure.
Yeah. So she's had her hand up.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brooke Nagel, and I live on the Salem Common. And I'm here with my 5-year-old son in the back because if we're talking about family friendly, I think it's necessary to bring the family voice here. I'm representing a lot of people that can't make it tonight because they're serving dinner to their kids at home, they're putting them to bed, and also the young professionals that can't get here because they're on the 6 p.m. train from Boston. So there's a lot of individuals that are in support of this business that can't be here tonight, and I want to speak on their behalf. So I think it's a little laughable, the idea that this is not an area where there's already drinking, and the idea that this is going to bring 170-something new drinkers to the area on every night. What I imagine this establishment will do will bring the people who are openly drinking in the Willows Park and openly drinking their nips, their cans, their solo cups. It'll invite them into an establishment to bring tax and revenue dollars to that area rather than just littering across the park. It's going to be a place where folks can not necessarily tie one on, but they can have a beer while their kid plays with Nerf guns. And that's great. I think it's an awesome idea, especially since as somebody who has a young family, we want more venues to go to. We bike to the Willows weekly, if not 2 to 3 times a week. We spend time there, we spend our money there, and I'd love to see new businesses come in and upgrade the type of establishments because it's more than just the people that live there. They're in a vital, beautiful neighborhood, and inviting the other people around to enjoy that park is what they talk about. You know, you want to have that diversity, and one way to do that is opening different types of establishments. So I'm very for this establishment, and I represent a lot of other people who believe that as well. So thank you.
Very much.
Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, Brooke.
Woman in blue sweater there, yes.
My name is Lorraine Corvos, and I live at 5 Sutton Ave, which is the street directly behind 197 Fort Ave. Although there are 2 house lots between my house and 197, the house that abuts the property has a deep front yard, which means I only have 1 building that cushions me from this proposed business. In the summer, I can hear the orchestra playing in the Willows bandstand from my house. I admit, I like it. The music is pleasant and it lasts for 2 hours in the evening and takes place maybe 8 times a season. This proposal would be louder, closer, and disruptive to sleeping every night, possibly every night until midnight for 10 months of the year. I moved to this area for the tranquility of the quiet seashore versus the hustle of the downtown. The noise alone would affect everyone in this neighborhood. We have all gone to functions where we choose to sit far from the band's speaker because they do not understand the phrase, "Please turn the music down." But if this music is too loud at a function, we can always leave. If this loud, disruptive business is allowed to move in, we cannot leave. We live here. This is our home. There are plenty of businesses that would flourish in this quiet seashore neighborhood, and one with noise and parking issues is not one of them. Speaking of parking, many of the houses in this neighborhood do not have driveways or garages. They have paved over what little front yard they had in order to get their cars off the street for the winter. Their cars barely fit between the house and the street, which makes even a sidewalk non-existent on many of these streets. We cannot afford even 1 extra car parked here that does not belong. This makes it extremely difficult when we have guests. When I moved in 14 years ago, I realized this could be an issue, but there was always extra free parking in the Willows Park. But even now, that has gone away due to the meter parking. And the supposedly free dirt parking lot in the Willows is often closed to the public because the town of Salem uses it for their snow plows, trucks, road repair supplies, or winter snow disposal. Even buying the Salem Willows Park Pass does not give us any free parking, nor any guaranteed parking. We already have major parking concerns as it is. Should we have any guests come to visit, how in the world is there going to be enough parking for a business that wants a permit for 179 occupants and seating for an extra 86 people? Where are they going to park? There is just not enough parking for this type of business in the Willows, so they will either come into our neighborhood to park, or they plan on petitioning at a later date to shrink the park in order to get more parking for their business. We are not against business. Why not have one that works with the park? One that sells tennis balls, basketballs, volleyball, soccer. How about beach chairs, towels, water shoes? We have a beautiful new pier. How about recreational fishing supplies, bait, fishing license office? No one sells coffee down in the Willows. Why not a coffee barista, a pastry shop? There are many businesses that would be very profitable here. We do not need a business. We do need a business with a faster turnover, so more parking spaces would not be needed. There is not even an area allocated for emergency and rescue vehicles or the police. The parking situation for this 179 occupant business is not being addressed, and it's already a crisis down here before anything even begins.
Gentlemen, please.
And then this one right there next to Cindy.
Mr. Barrett, we're getting over. close
Good
to 4
evening. I had
minutes.
to redact some of the things I was going to say based on your comments, Gary, Mr. Santo, right? Yeah. So I do want to draw your attention to this board real quick. This board actually pinpoints every active license that's issued in the city of Salem right now. It's hard to see, but that also pinpoints every emergency service located in the city of Salem. And by itself, you can see the proposed location right here is far away from any emergency service located anywhere in the city of Salem. Not to mention the new pier, and I didn't mark the harbor master on there, but I kind of should have. My name is Craig Beauregard, and I live at and own the property located at 159 Fort Avenue. That's the corner of Fort Ave and Bayview, which is directly across the street from the Salem Willow Strip and Park entrance, making my residence the closest to the proposed establishment on Fort Avenue. About 10 years ago, I was fortunate enough to move to this amazing neighborhood. I immediately fell in love with the park, the oceanside views, the history, and most of all, the community created by such a beautiful space for everyone in the Commonwealth to enjoy. I am still in disbelief that our community and constituents are being put in a position by business investors with nothing but their own interest at stake. What is being proposed, if passed, will forever change the atmosphere that families from all over the state come to enjoy. I am here today in opposition of the application. The applicants are a group of individual business investors and restaurateurs, none of which live in Salem based on the application, attempting to completely change the unwritten laws that the Hobbs family, the Campbell family, and countless business owners have owned and operated successful businesses under for decades. This is about an individual by himself who is not reputable enough to obtain a license, so he used his last tenants as a smokescreen to attempt to secure a license before withdrawing that application. This time around, he found a stronger candidate to Trojan horse his way into a license on the Strip. In no way am I standing here in opposition of a business in the Willows or in Salem. I am in here in defense of a true one-of-a-kind location loved by generations for its unique qualities. With the epidemic of mental health crisis that plagues our city and state, has deep roots in alcoholism, drug abuse, and mental illness, does it really make sense to introduce alcohol to a historically dry family park? This is one of the last escapes for people to get away from the effects of these substances in our community. This park caters to a plethora of family activities, from a summer painting school to the Phoenix School hosting its summer adventures program in the park, to a big band assembly that caters to our elderly community, to daily bus trips from special needs services and elderly religious groups. The constituents and visitors that come to this park see one side of the story, a small glimpse into the closest thing we can call paradise in Massachusetts. What they don't see is what my security cameras capture on a routine basis: vandalism, trash dumping, fights, domestic violence, speeding, public urination, and even defecation. And just general disregard for the true beauty of this park, all of which could be possibly amplified by introducing alcohol. I have all of these accounts captured and documented on video footage, along with documented police reports to back these up, all of which have been shared with the board members before this meeting. This location is about 2 miles away from the nearest police station, EMT, or fire station, creating a unique challenge for prompt emergency responses by our city first responders, unlike any other license issued in Salem. Is introducing alcohol really the best way to invest in the park that so many have shared throughout this long-standing history? Can we put more of our energy and attention into more pressing matters that will benefit the greater good and not individual business investors with one bottom line: maximizing profits? I stand here as an ambassador for the Willows Park, someone who has formed bonds with frequent park visitors, business owners, and city employees and maintenance crews, someone who fills in on the summer days to clean up trash in the park when the city doesn't staff personnel to do so. I stand here in defense of the true character of the geographic location that made Salem Willows so unique in its nearly 200 years of operating. Change is only good when it makes things better for everyone. Thank you.
Jerry, if I may, you seemed a little puzzled by when he said that you were given some videos. I sent some videos on a Google Drive to the board. I encourage you to take a look at that because they're pretty telling about what happens down there.
Well, so if that's the case, then how are you calling this a family-friendly
'Cause it's
place?
gonna
When he talks about
Sure.
domestic violence, when he talks about trash,
Sure.
he has a video that shows, and everybody's like, family-friendly environment, but
Sure.
you're
All of those
some of that
instances,
is
all of
really.
those instances have been caused and rooted around, I'm telling you right now, people that do have alcoholism problems, drug problems, it is already in the Willows, and this is not gonna do anything but amplify that problem.
Right, but
You're adding.
I guess that's the question. It just sort of struck me interesting, but it would be great to see the videos.
Yeah, no,
We have them all.
you should have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen a lot of the letters and things like that. We haven't seen everything yet, but,
Yep, I sent it, yeah.
okay.
Next, anybody else?
There was someone right there.
Yep. I'm going right, my left. So you want to move your seat and try to figure out where I'm going to be.
Mr. Barrett, we've been running about 3 minutes for each of you.
Oh, so, yeah, 2 minutes is, can we do a
Sure.
time keep?
Sure.
I've been doing a timekeep, and they're averaging about 3 minutes.
Okay, well, let's
Three
cut that
minutes
down
is
to
3
2.
minutes.
We'll give you a
We
warning.
should be consistent with the 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay to go?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good evening, my name is Lily Jerslow. I'm a lifelong resident of 17 Bayview Ave, down the Willows. And I too here am tonight in speaking in opposition of this liquor license. I also represent many people of my age group that live in the park, that do not live in the park, that frequent the establishments downtown that are against this liquor license and could not make it here tonight. As a 23-year-old who grew up in the Willows, I am strongly opposed to the granting of a liquor license at Salem Willows. This place holds a special kind of nostalgia for me. It's where I had my very first job at the arcade, and it helped shape my idea of what a true family-friendly, community-centered space should feel like. Now, as someone choosing to stay in Salem, I feel protective of what makes the Willows so unique. Friends who have visited me from all over the country are always struck by the charm of the Willows. How rare it is to find a space like this, where you can just unwind by the water, grab some popcorn or an ice cream, and spend time with people you care about without the usual distractions. I want to be clear that I'm not anti-alcohol. I've enjoyed many fun nights out with friends at the bars downtown, and I value the vibrant nightlife Salem has to offer. But I also deeply value the experiences I've had at the Willows. Evenings spent walking throughout the park, talking with friends, watching the sunset, all without the pressure to drink. That sense of calm, of freedom from social expectation, is increasingly hard to find, especially in my generation. Introducing alcohol into this space would fundamentally alter its atmosphere. The Willows serves as a rare reprieve, a green space where people of all ages can connect, play, and relax without the influence of alcohol. Many in my generation appreciate and seek out places like this where we can simply enjoy each other's company in a natural setting. And if I may, I'd like to address some of the comments Mrs. Grill has made earlier tonight. Ms. Grill, sorry. Right now, as there's no easy access to alcohol down the Willows. So if people are legally bringing alcoholic substances into the park, I feel that that is an issue that we should be working with the Salem Police Department to control. By adding by adding a liquor establishment there, it's not going to decrease the problems. It's just going to make the problems worse. And people of my generation are going to see the Willows as a place that they can go and drink illegally, because they might go to the bar and get one drink, but they're not going to be willing to pay the prices of a bar, and they're going to be bringing their own alcohol, which already happens downtown Salem on a weekly basis. So I urge you guys to consider that. I urge you to think about the impact that it has on my generation that frequents these establishments uptown too, and that there are many of us that are in opposition to this.
Did you just say that in your generation, people that your generation bring drinks to downtown to bars?
Yeah, they are. People bring nips in their pockets.
I'm not questioning that. It's something that, as a licensing board, I want to know about and want to try to talk with Sergeant Paul and figure out how to help the establishments stop that. That's
Well,
crazy.
a way to stop it is by
I'm an
not-
old guy.
Yeah.
You're telling me, that your generation
The ways
is
of
bringing it
yeah.
into a bar, and that's troubling to me. Aside from everything else, I wanted to be clear what you said, because it's just, I'll watch when I drink in the bar, just to see.
It's a regular occurrence, waiting for the bars downtown.
We
Waiting
used
in
to
the,
at least go out to the car and drink.
Yeah. Well, now it's a regular occurrence, people waiting in the queue lines to get into the bars.
No,
People are often drinking, and I feel that this establishment would be no different, and it would encourage people of my generation to bring alcohol down to the park to pregame, maybe go grab a drink there before heading uptown to the big nightclub bars. And if there's live music and entertainment down at that bar, axe throwing, he mentioned a jukebox, arcade games in their establishment that's proposed, it's gonna make that problem worse, and it's not the vibe. I don't know who frequents the bars downtown right now, but the vibe of that he's painting is not the vibe that happens. Often unsafe situations occur. Often the police aren't called in those unsafe situations because nobody wants to get in trouble, and these things are happening. They're happening in all the establishments in Salem. So of paramount importance is cleaning up what we already have and fixing those issues before adding more issues with the new establishment, which has already been said is far away from any police response as it is.
Have you completed I'm not cutting you off.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
I asked you, are you done with the rest of everything you
Yes.
wanted to say?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the extra.
Thank
Anybody want to speak on this side of the room? Anybody else on this side? Please come forward.
I also want to clarify that, yes, anyone can go in and anyone can get a drink at a bar, but we're using the word bar a lot when so many of our establishments are also restaurants. So in Salem, you cannot have a bar without food. So you can still go, into a restaurant, you can still sit at the bar and get something to drink, I understand that. But I just want to clarify that we're throwing around bar like it's only a place to drink without dining and things like that, so.
Excuse me, if I may, a lot of the establishments downtown that you're talking about, they stay open for nightlife and their bar stays open well after their kitchen closes. So there's actually no access to food at some point. So just to clarify that.
I'm Jim Arcatello. I own Dottie and Ray's up on North Street, that way. I've heard this one before, where we're not, we don't want a bar in our neighborhood. We don't want a bar in our neighborhood. When I went for my liquor license, they thought I was going to be sitting there over-serving mimosas all day long to people drinking all day long and underage kids and all this. It doesn't happen that way. We don't want people over-served. We don't want people loud and annoying because we don't want complaints. We don't want customers getting hurt. We don't want customers going out driving and hurting somebody else. For me, we're not a bar. We serve bar drinks. We serve a ton of food. For them, it sounds like they're going to be serving a bunch of food. We're going to be next door. I'm thinking it's going to be a wonderful thing. We're going to be serving plenty of food. I'm sure to the customers that you guys have, we're going to be keeping people well fed, of maybe a drink here or there, but they're going to be okay. These are families coming in. It's a family atmosphere. It will stay a family atmosphere. The same thing happened on North Street. It's a family's place. It's an old part of Salem. It stayed a family place. They serve liquor in Disney World. It'll be okay. I think. In the Magic Kingdom. In the Magic Kingdom over at Gaston's, they got beer. But it'll stay family. It'll stay family.
Thank you. Please.
Charlie, so are some people not represented by the association? So it's Charlie Holmes.
Good evening, members. My name is Charlie Hobbs. I'm from EW Hobbs Popcorn at Salem Willows. I've waited on my first customer 50 years ago in the Willows, and I've been there ever since. I'm here tonight in opposition of this. It kind of pains me a little bit to be anti-business in this one right here, but I'm pro-common sense all the way. I'll keep it short because Maria actually did unbelievable jobs. I have to rip up my notes because she pretty much did everything I wanted to say there. But I'd like to highlight a few things here anyway. It's a few things that I think are important to the whole argument here. I mean, the biggest thing for me is, first of all, is the character of the park. It is somewhere in between what everybody's saying here, an ideal, of being a place for everybody to congregate, that all walks of life and everything. And there are problems going on there on a daily basis. There is drinking and stuff, public drinking. But I don't see how public drinking can justify the need for a bar here that people are saying like, oh, it's already happening anyway. I don't understand that argument. So, I mean, with this is a precedent-setting situation. There's never been alcohol in the park. It just seems reckless to me to put a 179-person bar into a place that's never had it before down here. That's really the biggest thing, and to be able to go until midnight. To dismiss these people into the park at midnight, potentially 179, and potentially thousands that are going to lead up, thousands a day that are going to lead up to this.
If it gives you any comfort, there will not be till midnight.
Okay, well, that's the application.
In my opinion right now.
Okay.
We're still listening.
Okay, well, that's a real big thing right there, for sure, because like, I can't even sell popcorn past 11 o'clock down there, never mind alcohol.
We'll change that.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, that's what I've been always told for 30 years of filling applications.
I want you all to understand that this is a hearing. We've read parts of things. We live in Salem.
Yeah.
We go to the Willows. I've taken my grandchildren. I used to wait for my grandfather on a Friday to come from Waterbury, Connecticut. And that was, the Willows is the Willows. We know what it is. And I think people have to trust. We may disappoint, we may not, but we understand those sort of things. Hours are important to us. Noise is important to us. We try to eat a balance. Our job is to decide what's fair to the applicant because it's a business area, and you're entitled to function a business. They proposed a business. We'll listen to them. We're listening to you, and I don't want to lengthen it, shoot myself talking, but I want you all to understand that this is a very important job. The three of us take this very seriously. So,
I understand that. I have the deepest respect for all the things that you guys do, and everybody in the city and everything, for sure. It's just tough for me sometimes because, since I have lived there, I live directly. I'll be the second closest neighbor to this establishment in my house, and I'll be the second closest business also to be seeing this right there. And it's just, I've seen so many things in that park, like firsthand, like right through my whole life and everything, and I just can't help but think a lot of the bad things, which it's always like alcohol. But any problems I have at my windows are people that are alcohol, they're impaired. And it just seems like this is just going to exasperate the whole situation down there. It's like pouring gas on a fire. Really. And, in addition, I know parking's not, an exciting thing to talk about here, but I went out and counted the spaces today. I counted roughly 225 metered spaces down there. And, you talk about capacity of 180, 79 or whatever. And, nobody owns the spaces. I get that and everything. But I mean, I just can't see how one, if he has private event, I don't know if that's a question I can ask. A private event's going to be allowed into this building? Because a lot of people always ask me for like weddings and parties and stuff and everything like that. So is this something we're going to be expecting too, like bachelor parties and, bike rallies or anything like that? Is this going to be something that will be allowed with a license? So that's a concern. Because that's like a big, because people, you can say you're going to be safe as all you want here, but you can't control these people once they go outside the business or whatever too.
Okay.
You just kind of like, and I guess I got most of the points. Maria said all about the character and all that and everything, so I just wanted to get those few points across and voice my opposition. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Very quickly.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. My name is Phil Laffey. I live at 143 Fort Avenue. I just wanted to address a couple things that I heard. Ms. Greel, you mentioned about food, right? That there's food and food and food. We had Mr. Koltoff, and he was very gracious, and I appreciate that. We all appreciate that at one of our meetings. When we ask him about food, I guess some of my concern is that we're hearing one thing, we're seeing one thing on an application, and then we hear something else. We only have to look at what's on the application, right? We were told about food. The kitchen area of that location is really, really small. Maybe we'll have a panini grill, panini press. That's word for word what he told us. So our concern is, this isn't going to be a sit-down restaurant. This isn't going to be a place to go and eat. This is going to be a place to go and drink. Secondly, Mr. Koltoff, and I just want to reinforce something that Maria said, because it really made me upset when Mr. Koltoff said, in his words, his target customer is parents who bring their kids to his bit bar, and this place as well, because this will be the same target. Bring their kids to this restaurant, give them $5 to buy some tokens so they can tie one on. His words, not ours. So I caution, and this is what makes people upset, that we see one thing on an application and then we hear something different. I just don't know where the middle lies. Thank you so much.
How you doing?
Hey.
I know Gary from years ago. My name's Tom Nally.
We both had hair.
Lived down the road. I had it when I needed it.
Great t-shirt, though. Great t-shirt.
Okay, well, Hobbs has been in business for 140 years. Charlie didn't really speak that up. 140 years, and they haven't had a liquor license, only seasonal, okay? And so you can say in business down there, they've been in there 140 years. How do you say that? So I wish I had my bowling balls at home, but I wish I brought my axes, because I want to throw an axe right against that wall there and see how loud it is. If you guys ever thrown an axe against a piece of wood, you think that's not going to reverberate through the neighborhood? Throwing an axe against, that's crazy, you know what I mean? The Willows, I mean, give this license. It sounds like you guys are jealous of the Willows. I'm lucky enough to be down there, okay? And after all this crap, is like, I want to sell my house because I hate it now because of all this stuff going on. And I'm serious. I'm like, and my wife's going to kill me. So the point is, we don't need it down there. We have so many ones in Salem. We do the Derby Shuffle down the street. We can only hit like 10 bars and we can't make it home. You know what I mean? We have so many bars in Salem. You know, the bit bar is great. Build it up. Why not have the axes down there? You know, you have different kind of shows down there. They have drag shows in there. We don't want it on the Willows. They have other stuff down there. We don't need it. You know what I mean? It's getting crazy. And like I said, you give one out, because it sounds like it's a done deal with you guys. Give one out, then Hobbsy wants one. Pepe's wants one. I know the Clam Shack asked for one. Why not give everybody one? Is that what the deal's going to be? Or rip down the whole Willows, make condos?
Can I ask you just,
I'm Irish too, that's-
what makes you feel tonight, right now, that it's a done deal with this board?
Just listening to you guys, you know what I mean? You guys haven't heard yourself if you looked in the mirror and it's like your comments to us. It just sounds like a done deal, and that's what the word is around town. And that's the downhill of the Willows. The Willows will never be the same again. And I hope they put it over in Obeah Park and over the Lynch Park to the Beverly people, you know what I mean? See how they like it. Thank you.
I can comment right now that it is not a done deal. And if anybody in this room thinks it is, I've taken a lot of notes. Hold on. Oh, sorry. And I take great offense to that. We are listening to all of you. We have not made a decision. And if anybody thinks that we have, then I'm going to tell you flat out, you're wrong.
It's
This is a very serious situation, and we are taking it seriously. I'm taking copious notes. We have read your letters. I want to see those videos. So I find that disingenuous and not very respectful to think that we have decided, because we have not.
Gary,
Go ahead.
you have some?
Yeah, I know. I was going to echo that. I mean, just read our minutes, and you see how we deliberate over liquor licenses, over people who violate the licenses that they're granted, whether it's on the entertainment side or otherwise, and how we try to strike a balance between neighbors and businesses and do the best we possibly can, but we are deliberate and we are pragmatic. So I don't know who's saying that it's a done deal. Believe me, if it was a done deal, I have something better to do tonight than sit here.
We could have done it.
So I just think it's offensive and it's ridiculous, and it goes back to what I said at the beginning. Can we please stick to the facts and stop making these sweeping statements, because it derails the conversation. Because it is a conversation. That's the whole point of this exercise. And I would say one other thing, and maybe this is more to the applicant as well. It feels like as we deliberate on this further, we need an application that accurately reflects what you're going to be. So if you're only going to operate until 10, make the application say until 10, not until 12. If you're only going to have live entertainment one night a week, say that. Don't say you might have it 3 or 4 nights. I think that's part of what I'm hearing over and over again. It's a ton of speculation because there are some differing opinions. So, let's try to tighten this up and stick to the facts, please.
Thank you. You had your hand up, please.
My name is Christina Nuncio, and I live on Sutton Avenue, 11 and a half. You will never find my house because it's behind another house. In any
I've seen
case,
it.
you know who I am. I don't want to have that feeling that it's a done deal, but it's difficult to say that when remarks are made to the effect that it's the Red Solo Cup capital of Salem. That's painful. That's painful. Because in another world, that's a bias showing. Right there.
I've seen it. But
okay,
go ahead.
so does that justify compounding that problem by issuing a full liquor license? Does that justify? I'm speaking.
Right, go ahead.
So it's those types of comments don't help the situation. Maria Buckley spoke very eloquently. She did not make sweeping statements. She spoke facts. Facts. She has a fact sheet we can give to you. And so the other thing is that when you talk about this park, and I feel very strongly about this city promotes, is committed to diversity and to inclusion. And all I ask you to do is to pay attention to everything that has been said and all the documents that have been provided. Please pay close attention to that. Because if you go into the Willows on any summer day, you will see the most diverse crowd that I don't see in the common. I'm sorry, my sister lives in the common. I can tell you that. You see people who will set up camp for the day. They show up with little U-Hauls and vans and pitch their tents, and they're there. You have religious groups, elderly groups. You have summer camps, schools. All you have to do is go there on a summer day, And so the thing is and then the counter argument is, well, if it's family friendly, Craig just delineated all the horrible crimes that happen. Are you serious? Are you serious with that? Those crimes were not perpetuated by the family-friendly atmosphere. It's all the stuff that happened. And what happened here is if you look at the location of the Willows, where there's law enforcement emergency opportunities to come in and address those problems, we're far away from any of that. And finally, the character of the Willows. It is a family-friendly area. All kinds of families of every race, gender, ethnic group, religious orientation go there. You're not going to tell me that that's the clientele that bar is going to have. And we can split hairs about Dottie and Ray and their liquor license. That is a restaurant that sells alcohol. That's not a bar that serves food. But it doesn't serve food. It's going to have food, limited types of food. So I think there are facts that you have to pay attention to. Those are facts. It's not a promise of increasing property values. It'll be a wonderful thing to improve the business opportunity. No. So I'm just saying, pay attention to the facts. Please look at the information that has been sent to you. For this city that promotes diversity and equity, a lot of the people who come to that park in the summer live in apartments. I was raised in apartments. The park was my backyard. Thank you. That's it. I'm too angry.
I'm going left and right. She was on this side of the aisle, I'm sorry. Anybody on this? Anybody over here?
She's over there on that side.
Come on.
Sorry, I didn't write anything down. But, my name is Julia Beauregard. I also live with Craig at 159 Fort
Can you speak up a little bit?
Oh yeah, sorry. So I didn't write anything down, and Maria did a great job with all the facts, and everyone's done such a great job with all the data. Sorry, I don't have numbers, but I can say that a lot of these establishments that already exist in neighborhoods were there before the residents showed up, whereas in this case, the residents are here and a bar is being proposed. Like I know the Tin Whistle and whatever else, someone else can do the facts, but we have to look at that as a fact as well, that we were here first. And what's just, if you say, oh, this guy can get his license, whatever. What is to stop Angelo at the Clam Shack and then Charlie? Like, what do you want? Like, what's to stop everyone else from also applying? Because, where do we stop? Is it just going to be a bar crawling place? And then I think that's what people mean by changing the fiber of what the Willows is, because where will it stop? And my fellow millennial, who's not here anymore, who brought her child that she probably didn't raise next to a bar on the common, like all of these people, like I have in this room probably raised their children here without a bar nearby. Like I'm telling you, I'm on the corner, like it's right there. Like our bedroom window is right there. And I'm sorry I don't have any kids yet to pull your heartstrings, but some of these people's adult children are here. They raised them. Like there's multiple generations of people that just got to have this very clean experience, and we're less than a mile. Like go to the Anchor. Go to what's it called? The Great Burgers. What is it?
Mercy.
Yes, Mercy Tavern. And they have Rubens now too. Like I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got. I just wanted to say that.
Hi, I'm David Friedberg. I'm a new Willows homeowner in the past 5 years. And the only thing I wanted to say, other than being opposed, is that list of 2,300 signatures, just to make sure you know, are going to include people from outside the area. They're not just Salem residents. I know that for a fact.
It's Salem residents, like not just the Willows, but
I know
outside
one
of Salem as
person,
well.
a friend of mine. We have gone to the Willows together. He had never experienced it before. We enjoyed it thoroughly. He has come over to my home, and we've walked over there. And he said, when I told him what was going on, he said, that would be horrible to have something like that there. We just enjoy it the way it is, and I think everybody here feels the same way. Yes, there can be change, but it has to be reasonable change, and I think having something like this would not be reasonable.
Please.
Hi, my name is Sharon Dolliver, and I live at 8 Star Ave. I did not always live down the Willows. I lived not in Salem, and my parents and my grandparents would bring us to the Willows. And you know, it really is a wonderful place. It's a public park. And if I read it correctly, a park that is sort of mandated to be a public park, the purpose is, a public park is to be able to enable the residents and people who come to visit enjoy nature, enjoy taking a walk with their kids or their family, maybe having an ice cream if there's a business there. There are many parks in Beverly that are public, in Marblehead that are public, in Salem and in Swampscott. I've been to a lot of them, and I've seen a lot of red cups. Matter of fact, in my lifetime, I have had a red cup or two. I also don't necessarily have an axe to grind with this guy. See what I did there? I also, however, question how many of these public parks have liquor or bars, establishments that sell drinks or have restaurants. I don't think that there are. I didn't do probably due diligence research like many people in here, but to me, a public park is there for a reason, and if it has worked for 200 years, you know, my father used to say, if it's broke, don't fix it. So I just, or rather, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm guilty of the red cups, but I'm not guilty of the nips, but I would have been if I were her age. Nips are cheaper than $12 drinks. Okay? So I guess I'm not against the business. Glad I wouldn't have had too many drinks, because you wouldn't want me to have an axe with a few too many beverages. But I also do have another question. I heard, and I don't know if this is true, the line is that being bought up by one individual? Is that something that's
I don't know, and
I don't know.
not subject to tonight's
Right.
discussion.
I
So,
just
thank
throw it
you.
out there. But
Thank you for
anyways,
your comments.
So, and my daughter's best friend's a drag queen. He's very good. Yes. Oh, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. I just want to remind the members of the association that we had committed to the licensing board that we would try to streamline our process and have a presentation by Ms. Buckley, and then to have some additives. But if we get to a point of being repetitive, I don't think it's going to help anyone in the room. So just a reminder to everyone that if you truly have something new to say, please say it. But remember, if you're a member of the association, that we should respect our agreement.
It was starting to percolate in our minds, I think. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
But, everybody's comments have been extremely helpful.
Thank you.
In the back.
Sorry, I have a different comment that hasn't been made tonight. My name is Kelly Barrett. I live at 35 Juniper Avenue, and I am the mother of 2 middle school age children. I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old son. My husband and I moved into the Willows just about 20 years ago, and we are considered transplants because we did
You're
not
forever
grow
a
up.
transplant.
Yes.
It'll never change.
We are transplants because we did not grow up in Salem, but we chose to live in the Willows. And I have a very unique perspective. So as our children were growing up, they had a lot of different freedom and flexibility than my friends' children do and did. They ride their bikes through the neighborhood on their own. They ride their bikes over to the arcade, and they go to the arcade and they play video games with their friends at 13 and 14 years old without the family and adults present, which in some cases is wonderful, and other people may not agree with me, but it's been nice to be able to have that safe space that I can trust my children can go there. I know the people who run the arcade, and if there's a challenge, I know they will call me and we will have that conversation. It is a very family feel. And I'm afraid, and this is fear speaking, I am afraid that that's going to change if alcohol is served in that area. I would not want my children to go into Axe and Bow without an adult present. So now I'm going to be afraid to allow my children to go down there and play with their friends because I'm going to be concerned that they're going to go into a place that they should not be, or that someone's going to be there and be drinking and having fun with their friends, and it is a bachelor party and now they're spilling out into the street. So it's just a different perspective I wanted to bring to the table. I know the statute says that it needs to be because of a public need has been expressed. I don't hear that a public need has necessarily been expressed. So as you're looking at the statute, I ask that you please take that into consideration. Thank you very much.
Anybody else like to make a comment?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I was not prepared. My name's Annette. I live at 10 Sutton Ave, directly behind the establishment. And so I'm here in opposition, of course, and of course I'm against the whole liquor license. One of my major concerns is the level of noise. We just spent so much money redoing our back porch. We're looking forward to sitting on that, looking out towards the pier, and we're concerned about the noise coming from the restaurant or the bar, loud music, entertainment up until midnight, or that might change to 10. I don't understand why the establishment would have to stay open that late when all the other restaurants close between 9 and 10. I'm really concerned about the noise level as everybody, my surrounding neighbors across the street, the traffic, where my backyard borders, well, the restaurant borders my house, and the area back there are some parking spaces. Is that where all the staff of the restaurant or the bar are going to park? And that's going to be such a disturbance at nighttime when my bedroom window is right there. So I'm strongly opposing this, and I want you to take this into consideration. I know you keep mentioning it's a business area, but it borders on a residential neighborhood. That's huge.
We understand.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived there for so many years, and yes, you hear the arcade, you hear kids playing, you hear the band, but most of the time you leave the neighborhood and you say, oh my God, there's thousands of people here. I don't even know that they're there. It's just a quiet environment. And it's the beautiful part about being in the Willows neighborhood at night is the peace and the tranquility of sitting on your porch, whether it be your back porch, front porch, wherever, and you don't hear anything. People think, oh, it must be so noisy down there. It's not.
While the amusements and everything are still going on, is 10 o'clock good by you?
No, I mean,
I'm asking-
for music, no. I want to be able to sit out on my porch,
Is it
and I
good
want to
for the-
listen to
is-
music that doesn't interest me on every night. I
So
have,
if there's no music, is that all right?
if there's no music, well, now you're kind of separating it now, so if you want to, so.
I'm asking
I would
you.
prefer no music. I would prefer no music or loud noise coming from the bar. I think everybody.
No bar. No bar.
Yeah, I would prefer no bar, but we're
I
talking.
You made a point relative to
So let
something.
me make another point. I'm not in favor of a bar.
That was
I
loud.
am not in favor of alcohol being served in that establishment. And I am not in favor of loud music coming across the neighborhood at any point. Okay, thank you.
Anybody on this side? Going once, going to, anybody on this side? Anybody further? Please, come forward.
Hi, I'm Del
Hi.
Stedman, and for 40 plus years I've been a clinical laboratory scientist. And I'm here to let you know my experience about alcohol, because this is what the main thing that we're taking on today is the alcohol. I have been an expert witness for the prosecution, both of Peabody District Court and Newburyport District Court, on 2 young adults, separate occasions, who killed their friends due to drunk driving. Unfortunately, I ran their blood alcohol, and that's why I was called in for an expert witness. I'm just here to tell you that alcohol is an impairment agent. No matter how you say, oh, I'm not drunk, but when you're behind the wheel of a car, remember, lives are at stake. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody else? Do you want to respond in any way, Attorney?
Just briefly, yes.
Ryan, please.
I want to thank you all for your time again and everyone's comments tonight. Basically, in closing, I just want to read a quote from the case of Ballerin versus Licensing Board for the City of Boston.
Can't hear you.
I'd like to read a quote from Ballerin versus Licensing Board for the City of Boston, which is the seminal case in terms of public need under Chapter 138. That case states, quote, "Need, in the literal sense of the requirement, is not what the statute is about. Rather, the test includes an assessment of the public want and appropriateness of a liquor license at a particular location. In the case of liquor licenses, towns and city boards may exercise judgment about public convenience and public good, and the opposition of the neighborhood, although one factor for a licensing board to consider, does not contravene the licensing board's decision-making authority." So I would again just like to reiterate that this is a well-known responsible operator who owns another establishment here in Salem that's been in operation for nearly 10 years without any incident. He is a qualified applicant under Chapter 138. And going to some of the points that have been raised, I know there was a lot, with respect to sound. This is a relatively small space, approximately 3,800 square feet. And I know we had included the closing hour of 12 a.m. on the application, though we had mentioned realistically that will close earlier at 10 p.m. most nights. I have spoken with my client, and as a matter of hoping reaching some sort of compromise, we would be willing to scale that back to 11 p.m. as of tonight. But again, reiterating that we really will close most nights at 10 p.m. This, again, I know this was raised by Chairmember Greel as well, with respect to some of the misconceptions about this being a quote-unquote bar or akin to a nightclub. I would like to dissuade, any inclination that that's what this is. This is a family-friendly restaurant with a bar. It is not just a bar. We have included, as part of the application, a package, a menu including a full variety of different food offerings that will be included. There will not just be a quote-unquote panini press. That is not what's going on here. This is a full-service restaurant that will include a liquor license as an amenity to the customers who come in. With respect to parking, we anticipate drawing the vast majority of our clientele from the Willows. They will already be there. We would love to have 179 people in there. We don't think that's going to be the reality. And I think we acknowledge that parking is not ideal, but we don't think that we will be exacerbating the existing condition. We'll be drawing persons who are already there and would be looking to park with or without, the Willow Park LLC restaurant being in operation. With respect to sound briefly, I think I just go back again to the relatively reasonable, in our opinion, closing hour of 10 p.m. most nights. And as part of the build out for the premise, which has not commenced yet, soundproofing will be included as part of that build out. So I know that there were questions about both the entertainment and whether or not the impact of the axes against the wall would be heard by neighbors. It's our position that that will not be the case, that this will not have an impact sound-wise upon the neighbors. It is in keeping with the neighborhood. So I guess I just basically close that despite a lot of the concerns and some of the opposition that you've heard tonight, we do feel that we have shown a public need at this location, especially given the lack of a license there, that this is a qualified applicant, and we thank you for your consideration and hope that the petition is granted.
You want to say something also.
Yes, I would like a few things to say. People are very concerned. I get that. I totally do. I would be in your position as well. If I was a random guy off the street, then this would definitely be a concern. I guess I would just like to address a couple of things. First is that I understand and appreciate people's connection to the Willows. People have fond memories for generations of having birthday parties and bridal showers and wedding receptions and children's birthday parties, grandparents' birthday parties. And I get that because that's exactly the type of thing that happens at Bit Bar all the time. Alcohol and family entertainment coexist beautifully at Bit Bar. And that was part of our founding our founding edict. Like, all my partners have children. We all love Bit Bar. Our children love coming to Bit Bar. Many of you probably have children and have come to Bit Bar as well. And this is just something that's part of what we do. Axes and Bows is not going to be a completely radically different thing. I'm not proposing opening a skinhead bar or a biker bar or a strip club. This is going to be a family-centered environment where people can go in a relatively quiet place and they can engage in entertainment that's very compatible with what's currently going on in the Willows. So this is extremely important. I just want to make this clear. There seems to be a lot of concern and dooming that there's going to be some sort of wild place where people are going to be spilling out the doors, getting into knife fights on the street. We've never had that. Fortunately, Officer Ball is a very nice gentleman. Fortunately, our paths cross very infrequently. And that's a very, very good thing. That's not something we do at Bit Bar, and I would definitely plan to make this very similar to what's going to be going on at Axes and Bows. In terms of noise concerns, I get this. And what I can say about noise is everyone's concerned about noise. We're going to be, again, this is no loud music, no karaoke, no loud instruments. It's going to be a quiet place to be. In terms of the actual sound of axes being thrown, they're against targets that are not mounted on walls. That's not going to be a consideration. I've been to many axe throwing bars in my research. Noise is not something which is a concern for people. I can tell you that. It just is not a big deal. In terms of noise spilling out into the community, in my current place where we are in Bit Bar on Derby Street, our first noise complaint we received 6 months before we opened. Our second noise complaint was 2 months before we opened. And then when we had noise complaints once we were opened, which are actually legitimate noise complaints, I worked with the person involved. We voluntarily agreed to and what was going on, the concerns were actually not noise coming from music or patrons screaming on the street. It was about employees putting recyclables in trash into the dumpsters. That's what it was. And so I negotiated with that person, with the police department, and we voluntarily scaled back depositing recyclables in dumpsters 2 hours early in order to address this concern. By right, we are allowed to, by noise ordinance, we are allowed to go until 11 p.m. We scaled it back to 9 p.m. That was January of 2024. I have not heard another peep of complaint from this person since then. The point of my saying this is that if there's an issue, I want to solve it. All right? I do not want to be enemies with my locals. I count on everybody in this room to come to my establishment. That's what keeps me alive. Well, maybe you won't if you don't want to, but I hope that we can change that. I truly do. I mean, I can tell you, in Salem, Bit Bar is our high season summer, and it's definitely high season October. But after that, when it falls off a cliff, the locals are the ones who keep me alive. It's not in my interest to alienate the people in my neighborhood and my neighbors. Absolutely not. So that's something which I'm very committed to doing. In terms of how this will actually benefit the community, this is something I just want to read. It's a very brief thing. How do I see serving alcohol in this location benefiting the residents? I see Axes and Bows another amenity that will benefit the immediate local community, as well as tourists visiting the Willows. In my experience, whether you're in the heart of Chicago, a residential neighborhood outside Boston, or a small village in Ireland, a fun and activated main drag has a variety of shops, cafes, public houses, and parks. Clearly, the Salem Willows is not downtown Chicago, but it's a whole lot like an Irish village, and we all know the central importance celebrated value that pub has in Irish life. It is in this spirit that while I do not live in Juniper Point, to my eyes, there is currently no place within walking distance around here to just hang out. My goal with Axes and Bows is to create a chill spot to get a drink with friends, grab a bite, listen to some music, and play some games if you are so inclined. So while I expect to make the most of my money from day trippers, I feel that what we offer will certainly benefit the local community. In terms of parking, this is a grand concern, and to that I have two thoughts. First, if I would open up a 179-person capacity yoga studio, that concern can still be here present by the community. It's not about the liquor license. It's about a concern about just additional people coming in to a location to have a successful business. And this is critically important also, and this is something which my attorney just mentioned. I do not expect to be drawing vast crowds of people from outside the Willows. And the way I kind of think about the Willows, in fact, before I even signed the lease, I was really hesitant about doing it. I was very hesitant about doing it because I was like, this is kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like, if you want to go axe throwing, you can go to North Shore Mall. If you want to go have a drink, you can do it at any number of spots closer to where you live than coming all the way out to the Willows. What I see, and then I realize, is like the Willows is an island. All right, if I open up an axe throwing bar on Nantucket, nobody from the mainland is going to get in a boat and go out to Nantucket to go axe throwing. But if you're on Nantucket, you're probably going to come visit my place. And that's how I see it. I do not think that I'm going to be drawing vast numbers of people. I don't think I'm going to have a massive infusion of additional traffic and parking problems in this area. I think that the people who are there are going to come. And given the problems that we've all talked about here today about the Red Cup issue, if you don't give people a place to go and do a thing they want to do, they'll do it everywhere. If you don't have a designated smoking area, people will smoke on your patio. If you say, smoke there, people will go there and smoke. And sometimes you still have to chase them out. But the point is that that's what they'll do. That's just a natural human thing. And so by giving people an opportunity to go do the thing which they're planning to do anyway, and they're more likely to do it. Is everyone going to? Is every Red Cup and nip going to disappear? Absolutely not. That's a problem which is clearly endemic to the area. But the fact is that many people will. And if there's concerns about people urinate or defecating in other people's property, well, I'm going to have about a dozen beautiful toilets that people can come and use right there, and they don't have to worry about doing that in other people's backyards. So I hope that this helps address many of the concerns. Noise, I hear you. The family values, I hear you. This is important to me as well. I have a 5-year-old child. I want him to come to Bit Bar and Axe and Bows as well. I absolutely do. I want to have people have birthday parties. I want to have people come to the Willows and just enjoy one more Monday. And that's my feelings on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You want to?
There is nothing that I could say that would add to what the neighbors have had to say. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. There are a number of points that you've heard, and I'm not going to go through them all, but I ask that you consider them.
Gary, do you have any questions? Gary, do you? None? Good.
No, I have taken copious notes of everyone.
All right. We're going to continue this matter to...
Take a vote to close the public hearing. And then if you want to take a vote to close the public hearing.
Yeah.
And then if you want to continue it to the next meeting, you need to take a vote on that.
Okay.
So moved?
Second.
So we're going to continue, close tonight's hearing, continue it to our next meeting.
Okay.
And
Which is April 28th, Melissa?
April 28th?
Yeah.
Okay, continue it to our next meeting, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.